It's Fans Corner. Welcome to it, and thank you once again for making time for us. We are back in the Betway Premiership, and we've just watched Mamelodi Sundowns against Royal AM out at Loftus Versfeld Stadium. Mamelodi Sundowns winning that game by 2-1. And as usual, we talk about the crowd attendance first. I think I've run out of words on what to say about the crowd attendance in Pretoria in particular when Sundowns is playing. I mean, for a team that has been dominating the PSL the way the Sundowns has been dominating the PSL, I think it's quite unfair for us to be looking at a crowd like that. With the kind of resources that Sundowns can pull, and with the kind of achievement that they can back the resources with, it's not a decent crowd, it's not an okay crowd, it's just, there's nothing to say about that kind of a crowd. We understand it's on Wednesday evening, but we've seen better attendances on Wednesday evenings, even on Monday evenings actually. So yeah, let's get into the game. let's rather talk about the game itself than the crowd. Mamelodi Sundowns winning the game by 2-1. We saw Sundowns scoring in the first 10 minutes, and as soon as Sundowns scored in the first 10 minutes, I just assumed that this is going to be one of those games where it's going to be raining goals, just like the previous game where Sundowns scored 5 goals. I honestly assumed that this is going that direction. I mean, and a team like Sundowns scores in the first half, in the first 10 minutes of the game, it opens a whole lot of gates. But it did not go as I had thought. The results themselves are not surprising. I think there is no it's a no-brainer. Everyone expects Sundowns to win this kind of a game, especially given the performance of Royal AM over the past couple of games. So it's a game where the results are not shocking, quite kind of expected. But if you watch the game, especially in the first half, you would have thought maybe Sundowns can wrap up the game in the first half by scoring probably 3 or 4 goals or so, especially after scoring in the first half, in the first 10 minutes of the game. But somehow Royal AM found a way to come back, to get back into the game. And also, in the first half, maybe it was mostly Sundowns, to tell the truth. It was mostly Sundowns in the first half. There isn't much that Royal AM offered, except what I can say is that their defense is actually better than I thought it is. And when I was watching the game, I kept on thinking to myself, because I looked at the position of Royal AM in the league, I saw them in the bottom half, and I thought to myself, they're not having a good start of the season. But as I watched their defense, and I'm thinking to myself, how are they not doing well in the PSL? Because their defense looks quite, solid enough, just solid enough to do well. But then it dawned on me that actually this is their first defeat of the season. They had played 4 games prior to this in the league, and they had kept 3 clean sheets, which means that only conceded 1 goal in the 4 games that they had played, and that is the first game that they played where they drew 1-1. So all the games that they played, they drew. The first game they drew 1-1. The next 3 games they drew 0-0, which means they have a problem. They can't score. 2, they have a good defense, because you can't keep 3 clean sheets. Doesn't come by accident or by miracle. Keeping 3 consecutive clean sheets in a game in the PSL does not come by accident. So they have a decent defense. I think what is lacking now is how their finishing is quite poor. And we saw that when Sundowns was leading by 1-0 in the first half. I can't remember who it was, but one-on-one with the goalkeeper, all he had to do was to remain composed or take a few steps forward, because he had the space to do that. Perhaps he got carried away and took a shot that was not decent. So they do create those chances, but they're not as clinical as they should be. Which means, if you look at Royal AM, basically, the past 3 games where they drew, in fact, the past 4 games before this one, they just needed 1 goal to turn those games into wins. So they could have come into the game with 12 points, having won 4 games in a row, because they drew the other games. They just needed to score 1 goal to win them. So they're not as bad as I thought they were, when I was looking at their position in the league. And given that this is their first loss, and losing to Mamelodi Sundowns it's not something to cry a river about. And how they conceded that goal, it's one of those it was a mistake from the defense, from the how the goalkeeper cleared the ball, and then I think the defender was not calling for the ball at that time. And one of the strengths of Mamelodi Sundowns is pressing. They press, and when they press, if Sundowns press and they really mean a business with their pressing, it's almost guaranteed they're going to turn over the ball. So at that particular, in the final third, if they press, all they want is to score a goal, and that's exactly what they did. They scored a goal in the first 10 minutes of the game. After that, we saw Royal AM growing into the game, but not as much in the first half. In the second half, the way Royal AM started the second half, I think they started wonderfully. They wanted to score. They started like a team that really wants to equalize, and it's unfortunate that experience is not on their side. They are not as clinical. I think they need to beef up. If they are to improve their squad, they need to beef up their attacking at the front. They're not doing well in terms of converting their chances, because they do create the chances, but they just don't convert. We saw Sundowns struggling to break that defense, and also Mabena composure. I mean, he's a finished product, but the composure in the final third, the last pass or the last kick, if he decides to go for goal, it leaves you wondering whether he meant to do that, or it leaves you with a few questions. But otherwise, he's a very dangerous player. You saw him coming on the left of the left attacking position of Mamelodi Sundowns and turning defenders up and down, but his final touch is quite poor. I think if he improves that, he's going to bang in quite a number of goals. Mabena. Shalulile, I don't know. There's a monkey in his back. On his back, I thought he got rid of it when he scored in the Carling knockout cup, and I thought his back is going to score goals again. But we saw him struggling to find the back of the net. But eventually, Sundowns found the second goal through Khuliso Mudau. We saw again, they had to fight for that goal, because the first attempt was actually saved or was blocked. And then Mudau came from the rebound and took it very well, and they scored their second goal. From there, the game was as good as dead. But funny enough, we saw Royal AM waking up now to try and play, and they got a consolation goal. And after getting the consolation goal, we thought it was exactly that, the consolation goal. But they kept on coming, even when it was just 3 minutes remaining. The last kick of the ball was actually a shotted goal by Royal AM. In the last second of the game, before the ref blew for to end the game. If the header had gone just a few centimeters to the left or to the right of Ronan Williams, it could have gone either way. It could have been a draw. Could have been a 2-2 draw. So I think Royal AM are not as bad as I thought they were when I was looking at the fixture, and I was thinking, Sundowns is going to win the game. And then I started looking at their previous fixtures and how they did. They actually didn't do as bad, because this is their first defeat. And losing your first game to Mamelodi Sundowns really is not something to be embarrassed about. I think it's not all dark and gloom at Royal AM. I think they have a chance. They have a chance this season. They could do well, because most of the results that they got so far, they just needed one goal. One goal turns the results around, and then they win the game. So they could be a major player again. Let me not say again. Let me just say they could be a major player this season in the PSL, Royal AM, and especially having an experienced coach like John Maduga, who was there the whole of last season, is back again at the helm of Royal AM. So I think they stood a good chance. Mamelodi Sundowns, 4 games out of 4 games. Last season, I think I was at Orlando Stadium when I was asking Mamelodi. I was at the stadium. We did a video at the stadium with a few fans, asking them, when Sundowns had won 7 games out of 7, having collected 21 points, if there was a team that was going to be able to stop Mamelodi Sundowns. And most fans actually said, no, there is no team. They could go on to become invincible. That was last season. And they went on to only lose in the very last game, and through a mistake from Toby Mvala. They could have gone the entire season unbeaten, a historic result that would have been, but it didn't happen. Now they've played 4 games out of 4. I still don't see any team that can give them a challenge so far. We are yet to see them being shaken. Yes, we saw the game against Kaizer Chiefs. Even as a Kaizer Chiefs fan, I was excited, thinking we might cause an upset there. But the experience of Mamelodi Sundowns came through, just like it did again today, just like it's still going to do in the next few games as well. In next games, it counts for a lot. This is a team that has been built over almost a decade now, without breaking the team. Just keep on building. So they can afford to rest some key players, players who are banging in goals, like Reines, they rested him. They can afford to do that. Other teams cannot. There are players that you remove from a team and the team is completely different, unlike Mamelodi Sundowns. It's still a big mountain to climb. So congratulations to Mamelodi Sundowns, and thank you so much, guys, for making time for us once again. It has been Fans Corner. We meet again in the next one.